Today I fucked up by trying to show off to my girlfriend. Not actually today, a couple of years ago. I had been with my girlfriend for a couple of months and things were going well. One day we were walking through town just hanging out and we ended up walking through our local shopping center. We were about to exit the center when I saw a horizontal Gothic style railing above the exit. Decided it would be a good idea to swing on the railing on the way out. Don't you wish you were this cool? Anyway, I jump up and grab onto the railing. However, this particular railing had a pattern that included bars of metal in a V or upside down triangle formation all along the railing. So naturally my fingers wedged themselves into the bottom corner of this tight gap. And before I knew it my fingers were stuck and I was just dangling there as my girlfriend looks at me awkwardly laughing and looking at me like I'm a right bellend. Which I was. The worst thing was as I was dangling in front of the exit, people from the busy shopping center kept walking around me while I was in the way, probably thinking I was just a public nuisance. After about 10 seconds, I started to panic and felt my strength slowly failing, and I remember thinking that there was a real possibility that I would actually lose my fingers in this situation. I finally built up enough adrenaline to pull myself up with one arm and release my other hand from the wedge and vice versa. My girlfriend still brings this up all the time and we've now been together for nearly 6 years. Too long didn't read. Got my fingers stuck while trying to show off to my girlfriend by swinging on a railing. Dude, I truly feel for you. Lamau, thanks for the laugh man. You're very welcome, haha. I tried showing off to a girl back in high school. We were at a track practice and a buddy dared me to climb up an old friend goalpost. I did, then decided it'd be a great idea to backflip off. Landed on my head, had a concussion and missed the rest of the season. I eventually did ask the girl out and we dated for a while too. Will somebody please tell me what the hell is a bellend? Also called a helmet depending on where you're from. I'm glad you kept all your fingers, and your girlfriend. I was worried about those fingers. Glad they made it out with them. Today I fucked up by showing a class of children, and a teacher, my bong and breast simultaneously. This happened at about 1 PM today. I'm mortified. My son does virtual learning, so I put his headphones on and he was watching his teacher do a science experiment at the kitchen table. I have my medical card in a legal state, so I took that opportunity to go into my bedroom and smoke while I could. I shut the door behind me because I've seen all those memes, haven't we all? And reached for my bong, on the top shelf of my closet. Unfortunately, disgusting bong water spilled all over my nice stay-at-home oversized top, so I quickly pulled it off. I used my already wet shirt to soak up the rest of the water on the ground a bit before I planned to hit it with the carpet cleaner later. So I'm covered in a small puddle of bong water, but the bong was still partially full. Which means it's time to smoke, right? I thought I deserved to hit it before I started cleaning. So I load it up and spark it. But all of a sudden, my sex trophy walks into my room and exclaims, Mrs. B says we should have vinegar and baking soda. Why don't we, Mom? And sets his Chromebook on my bed, giving a bird's eye view of me on my floor, topless, with bong water on my tits and floor, and a bong I didn't even get to clear yet, still in my hand. At this point, I'm sure they saw my mouth on it. I realized about 9 other children and the teacher were staring at me, as I looked back in horror. My son's in kindergarten, so these are young kids. I reach to shut the Chromebook as I'm trying to lower my breast below the bed level to save some dignity. But my son laughs and asks, Mom, did you pee yourself? Just before I slammed it to rub salt in the wound, my son immediately opened it back up and they were all still there. Like WTF. I thought if I closed it, it would disconnect immediately. Thankfully I had grabbed my robe and moved out of the view, but if not, it could have been so much worse. His poor teacher, this is her first year of teaching, is trying to explain to the other children, see kids, this is tricky for all of us. So kids, go ask your parents to help you find the ingredients. I set the computer back on the kitchen table and mustered up enough courage to do a pathetic wave and apologized to the teacher. Got my son situated again, and cried as I laughed in the bathroom at my misfortune. Too long didn't read. My son brought his computer, with his virtual class, into my room when I was attempting to take some afternoon bong tokes. Kids and the teacher saw my tits and bong, and probably think I peed myself. Also, I don't know where all the cannabis haters are coming from, but where I live, it's legal to go to a dispensary. You have to smoke in your home. It's prescribed more than Xanax these days. I don't know where you all live, but I'd be miserable staying somewhere where cannabis is still viewed as bad. Isn't that a thought from 1980? It's called a medical card. Y'all are weird. My husband is working 12-hour night shifts and he likes to have a beer after work. I'm waiting to hear someone complain about seeing a dad drink a beer at 9 in the morning. He keeps it out of sight, but it is totally the appropriate time for someone working graveyard to unwind, and the online classes are in our dining and living rooms, so there's always a risk. Lol. Sex trophy. Absolutely perfect. LOL. I'm just happy I can share my misfortune with people who need a laugh. No idea how we're going to complete school Monday. I'm too mortified to let the children see my face. Earlier I was thinking about giving my body a break from birth control and taking out my implant. I'm over that now, thanks to this post. I did that in January, but went off the pill because it was driving my anxiety and depression. I am due 12/1. Don't do it. So did you have the ingredients or not? Hope the kid did his experiment. Asking the important questions. Today I fucked up by thinking the quarantine would only last 3 weeks. Obligatory. This happened several months ago, as we've been in quarantine for months. So during the beginning of year, I was staying in dorms at my university. Now, because of financial constraints, the university I went to is in the Midwest, while I myself live on the East Coast. Somehow the tuition was lower out of state. News of COVID beginning to spread hit, and I was one of those "it's just a flu, don't worry" people. Well, that wasn't true. The university announced it would be shutting down the campus for 3 weeks and all classes would be virtual during that time. Stupid old me thought, wow, a 3-week vacation. So I booked a flight back home and made the decision to leave all my belongings back at my dorm, expecting to be right back in less than a month. Now here's the thing. For a while, I had an infected ingrown toenail that was really bothering me, and I was looking to get it surgically removed. I decided to get the surgery back at home, as the state the university was in didn't accept my healthcare. So, I got the surgery and got that toenail removed. I had my big toe tightly bound by a bandage and I was reduced to a limp everywhere. But I thought to myself, good thing I have 3 weeks to recover, haha. Velp. The next day I get an email from campus stating that they're shutting down the school for the rest of the semester, including the residence halls, meaning that everything left behind in those halls would get thrown away, meaning that the suitcase worth of clothing and all the things I purchased for my dorm that semester would get thrown out. I panicked. Couldn't possibly get any worse, right? The same day, Mayor announces that all airports would no longer be allowing departures or arrivals until the quarantine ended. This rule would go into effect in 2 days, which meant that the only chance I had of saving everything I owned was flying back and getting it myself before it was too late. Keep in mind that I was still recovering from my surgery. So that very night, I bought tickets for a round-trip flight to and from my campus. Flights were especially cheap now, so I guess there's one good thing about my experience. The next day, I got my parents to drive me out to the airport. I assured them I'd be fine and that I'd see them that very night. And man, let me tell you, the experience was much worse than I anticipated. Note, the airport was completely empty. Normally it was filled to the brim with people, but now I could count everyone in sight with one hand. This made things faster for me, but it has the whole apocalypse vibe. Everything was fine at first, until the layover, of course. I happened to be the lucky person with only 15 minutes to get from one end of the airport to the other due to delays, in what is probably the longest airport I've ever been to. There I was, urgently carrying a suitcase with me as I limped my way to the next gate. It fucking hurt, of course, but I didn't have any other choices. It didn't get any better. Arriving to my destination, I had to find a cab driver. After explaining that I needed him to drive me to the dorm, wait until I packed my things, then drive me back to the airport, He told me the price would be about $80. I really couldn't be a chooser right now, so I had to take it. I really didn't think it could get any worse, but I guess God really had it out for me that day. See, I live on the 8th floor of my dorm, and for whatever reason, they decided to disable the elevators that day. So I had to limp my way up 8 floors, pack 2 suitcases with everything I could, and then bring said suitcases all the way down the stairs. I was basically crawling by the time I got up, and the way down was even worse. I wasn't able to fit everything, unfortunately. Among the losses were 2 pillows, an LED cactus lamp, my Halloween costume, a full-sized mirror, and a box of goodies my friend left for me. Gone, but not forgotten. The way back wasn't any different. Smooth flight, limp across the airport, and fly again. I successfully managed to retrieve most of my stuff, and rewarded myself with a well-deserved pasta. Did I mention that I didn't eat anything the entire day? Too long didn't read. Thinking the quarantine would only last 3 weeks, I flew back home from my university and got surgery done on my foot, only to have to fly back and manually retrieve all my stuff, or else it would be thrown out. Until the layover, of course. Happened to be the lucky person with only 15 minutes to get from one end of the airport to the other due to delays. If you indicate to the flight attendants that you have walking problems and are not sure if you are going to make it with the extra delays, they can discuss things with the airport before the plane lands, and make special situations that can help you, like giving you a faster route, potentially though staff-only areas. The route shown on the signs isn't always the fastest, as the fastest route is not always suited for the large amount of traffic. Sending out a person to help you with the luggage. Sending out a person with a wheelchair to push you faster than you can walk. Making sure you unboard the plane first. They would definitely put you in a wheelchair and board you first. They can do that for elderly or pregnant women, too. I'm sorry you went through that, but Lamau same. Except I couldn't go back to my dorm room, so I had to repurchase some of my clothing and cosmetics. I ended up carrying 4 huge boxes filled up with my stuff all the way to a friend's home months later. Last month, 4th floor. Got lucky, no elevators. I had to call a friend to carry the heavy stuff on stairs. I'm proud of you for fighting for your stuff alone in an apocalyptic airport with a hurting toe. Kudos to the shrewd cab driver. RIP LED cactus lamp. That's kinda messed up, tossing everything out of the dorm. That's true. It's not like they needed the dorms for anything, and probably many people left things there. This was very anticlimactic, but still great read. Have an upvote.